Hello world and a very warm welcome from our STIHL TIMBERSPORTS studio in Munich, Germany. And we've got something very special coming up for you, and it's the premiere of the STIHL TIMBERSPORTS Nations Cup, meaning that we're going to start off with 16 rookies now at 2 o'clock, and we're going to move on to the pros who are going to compete at 1900 hours. Together, they will be the champions of the Nations Cup. And with me, of course, is Troy Mannering, who will hopefully explain to us why this new format is going to be very special tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting because what we're doing here is we have two representatives from each nation in the rookies as well as in the pros. So what's going to happen is it's going to be accumulated points between each of these representatives. So there is a potential that one nation could walk away with the entire, let's call it golden cup here. But basically, it's like each nation has to do the best they can competing against each other as well as the other nations. And then that nation from the rookies and as well from the pros at the end of our day today, this evening after the pros starting at 7 p.m. is going to be awarded the Nations Cup 2021. So this is a really interesting way to do things. And it's where we can, it's almost like a way to really boast for your nation, and you can have it on your chest and go, oh, this is where we are and what we're doing and who we are. So it's going to be a fun one to watch.
I like the big bear shout out. But of course, all the pros are going to be watching the rookies now, because all the points that the rookies collect are going to be very important for the pros tonight. So absolutely. I think that really is a big challenge for the youngsters as well as the pros. And of course, we no pressure at all. And of course, we've got someone live at the Kessel House in Munich, because this is where our stars are going to be competing. And hopefully, Pia, you can hear and see us now. How are you doing? Is everything all right?
I'm fine. I'm feeling amazing. A heartfelt hello and welcome from my side from this unique location. Well, where am I? As you just mentioned, I'm in Germany, in Munich, at the Motor World. And as you might tell from the old machinery behind me and the heavy steel framework, I'm at the Kessel House. If you've participated in the last championship last week, you already know that, but I'm going to tell you anyways why this site is so special. It has been established 100 years ago, and still some original things are here, like the old chimney, the boiler plate, and the crane, or rail crane. Well, because of this site, a real quick industrial development was possible for Munich, for all the places around Munich, and it was built to be a powerhouse by Theodor Fischer and Otto Ernst Schweitzer. It was pretty much a lot in use. Then it was unused and empty for 10 years, but since 2007, it's back. 2007, it has had its comeback as an event venue. Legends like Pink and companies like Microsoft and Music Awards have had events in here. And today, STIHL TIMBERSPORTS with our very own future legend. Speaking of, I think they are ready. They've been preparing themselves the whole morning. The crew on site is ready too. I'm ready. I hope you guys are ready. And I'm handing back to you guys. See you at the first interview with one of the rookies.
Well, thank you very much, Pia. It looks like she's having a great time in Kessel House. And Troy, Kessel House always indicates to me that you might be able to get a drink and to have a party at a place like that. And the party is what we're looking for today.
It is a party location, and we're going to have a party on that stage pretty soon with these athletes coming out. We're going to meet all our rookies shortly, but definitely looking forward to seeing how this one pans out. And, I kind of joked a little bit, no pressure there, but really for these young guys, I mean, I think one of our youngest athletes is 16 years old. It's going to be a lot of power and pressure for them to, take everything over to the next level and make those moves, especially with the pros coming up after them. So there's going to be a lot going on for these guys today, and we're going to get a chance to meet them shortly.
Yeah, but you know that the big guys are watching you. So let's take a look at our 16 athletes. Like you mentioned, 8 nations, 2 athletes competing for the country. We're going to take a look at all of them right now.
All right, Adam Bjorns I don't know. I'm going to murder some names again today. Hopefully not. But
sounded great to me.
You could see 4th place at the Nordic Rookie Championship 2019, 2nd place at the Swedish Rookie Qualifier 2021. Doesn't have a whole lot of international pedigree under his belt. So this is going to be a great opportunity for him to really start to get out there and get his name out there. And you know, the Swedes are putting some fantastic talent out there into STIHL Timbersports.
So I'm looking forward to you mentioning that name.
I think I got this one. Quinten Verheert.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, 2nd place at the Benelux Rookie Championship in 2021, Belgian Rookie Champion 2021. So, you know, again, these guys, a lot of them coming into international competition for the first time. There's going to be some pressure on them. The nerves are going to be playing a big role. Mike Brockman, you know, coming out of Holland, winner of the Benelux Rookie Championship 2021.
Man to watch for sure today.
And a Dutch Rookie Champion 2021. So also out of Benelux, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, there's a lot of great talent coming out of there. Then we have Sebastian Bateau. He got 11th at the Rookie European Championship recently. And that was one of his very first international competitions. And you could see 56th place at the European Rookie ranking in 2019. So he has made a huge step up in his level in the last little while. Then we have Robin Konicek. He's really new out of Austria. 2nd place at the Austrian Rookie Qualifier 2021. 7th at the National Championships in 2019. And you could see 4th place at the Rookie Swiss Cup. We saw Lukas Wagesreiter. He was messing around at the Rookie Academy as well, having some fun over there. 1st place at the Austrian Rookie Qualifier 2021 and 12th place at the Rookie World Championship.
And look at his arms.
Yeah.
Mighty arms.
I mean, he's got those Popeye forearms, and you really need that for those chopping disciplines. Then we have Edvin Carlson. Now, he's a guy that we've seen kind of coming up slowly but surely. 7th place at the Rookie World Championship 2021 and 1st place at the Swedish Rookie Qualifiers. Another German in the mix here, Danny Vielwert. There you can see, again, a lot of these guys are cutting their teeth for the very first time in international competition. So seeing them come out here and giving them an opportunity to be on the same stage with the pros as well as being on an international level. I mean, yeah, okay, it's European-wide, but nevertheless, it's a great thing for them. Then we have Robin Haas. Now, he's a guy that's got a little bit more experience under his belt in the international side of things, and you can see he's got some pretty good qualifications coming your way. 2nd place at the Swiss Rookie Cup, 10th place at the Rookie World Championship in 2021. And then we have Michael Perrin. Yeah, he's got a French-sounding name, but he's coming from Italy. 4th place at the Rookie European Championship 2021. That was just a week ago. And 1st place at the Italian Championship in 2020. He's got some pedigree. Plus, he's a real tall guy with long arms, and he's got a lot of power. Loic Vincent, well, what can you say about this guy? 2nd place at the Rookie World Championship, or the Rookie European Championship last week. 2nd on the podium there with the silver medal. He came oh so close, but was just a thread away from being on top of that podium, and we're looking forward to seeing how he does. Alessandro Ciapponi.
Oh,
I love saying that name. It's just one of the best names to say because it makes you feel fun and happy saying it. 2nd place at the Italian Championship. 5th place at the Rookie World Championship 2021. He's had 6 appearances so far in Rookie Cups, so he has got a little bit of a pedigree behind him as well. Look for him to do well today. And Nikolai Grunwald. I mean, there's the Grunwald family in the mix all over the map here, and I think we're going to have 2 Grunwalds in the rookies, along with his, I don't know if it's brother or cousin, but don't quote me on either one of those. Simon is there as well. And Oliver Reinhardt, he is the current European champion for the Rookie Cup and 1st place Swiss Rookie Cup, and he also got a world record for the springboard at the Rookie European Championship or the Rookie European Cup last week.
Good, man.
So great job by him. Then we have Marcel Steinkampa. It should be Steinkemper, you know, fighter. Boy, he is a battler when he gets out there. He is so strong, so solid. One of those guys that we're really going to be looking forward to seeing in the future. And here's the other Grunwald in the mix representing Poland. Simon Grunwald. 7th place at the Czech International Rookie Cup 2020, Polish Rookie Championship 2021. So again, you know, plenty of skill and talent coming out of this family, and it's going to be really exciting to see how these rookies handle, A, the pressure of a lot of them being first time on the international stage, and B, knowing, like you said, Marcus, that there's going to be all these pros from their countries watching them and hoping that they're going to score some good points for this European Nations Cup today. It's going to be a long day, but it's going to be a really fun day as well, because there's going to be a ton of action coming our way.
Well, having said that, we're ready to rock and roll. It's time to take a closer look at the competition format and the first tool and discipline.
The STIHL Timbersports Rookie Competition. All athletes will compete in 4 disciplines. The maximum points awarded for each discipline result from the number of participating athletes. The first discipline is the stock saw. The fastest athlete will receive points equal to the total number of athletes competing, down to 1 point for the last place in each discipline. The second event is the standing block chop. Points remain the same, awarded based on times, and as with all events, any rule infraction will result in a disqualification and the athlete will receive 0 points for that discipline. As the third discipline, every competitor will need to show their skill in the single butt. And in the underhand chop, it's the athlete's last chance to claim valuable points. The points from all disciplines are accumulated, and the athlete with the highest point total wins the competition. Underhand chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes use an axe to cut through a 30-centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides. The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand-sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It's custom built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos and it's about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you could shave with it.
So our athletes in Kesselhaus are ready to rock and roll, and these are the heats. Let's take a look at the first one. Bruns taking on Verhardt. Then we have Bröckmann against Batso, Konicek against Wagesreiter, Carlson, Vielwert, Haas versus Perrin, Voisin, Capioni, Grönwald against Reinhardt, and finally Steinkemper taking on Grönwald.
All right, so guys getting in the mix here for underhand chop. Now you saw them setting up their saws there earlier on, but it's actually going to be the underhand chop here to start the day off. I thought it was going to be actually stock saw, which means that our graphic would have been incorrect, and it is in fact going to be stock saw, so it's going to be 2 French guys going up against each other first. Now, my list tells me I've got 2 French guys, Louis Voisin and Sébastien Bateau out there. And remember, these guys are cutting 2 quick cookies off of that 10-centimeter section on the block. And that was quick by both of them. So we get this graphic and start order situation straightened out here, and we'll have something a little bit more clean. And it does look like it is, in fact, Loic Voisin on the left-hand side on stand A. So let's just get that confirmed here shortly. All right, taking quickly a look back at the slow-mos and still clarifying things here, but I do believe that our starting order and graphic was not correct on screen, though. So because we are in stock saw, Loïc Voisin going up against Sébastien Bateau, that will be one country battle right off the bat. Unfortunate situation there for both of these guys to have to be going against each other, but it is about the time here and accumulating as many points as these athletes can through each of the rounds. So Loïc Voisin with the faster saw at 11:54 and Sébastien Bateau not that far behind with an 11:75. And nice to see this too. Sébastien Bateau actually logged in a personal best time on stock saw. So very, very good job by him. We'll have to take another look at the starting order here with heat number 2 coming up will be Robin Konecek going up against Simon Grunwald. So an Austrian going up against a Pole. And look at that. Simon Grunwald, just 16 years young. So now if you're unfamiliar with STIHL Timbersports, this is a section where these guys get to start the saw, warm it up, make sure that everything is blowing properly in there, and then they can leave this saw running on the ground. That's a little bit different to the hot saw, which we'll see with the pros later on. And they have those special pads to have that saw sitting on so it doesn't hop around. And here we go, heat number 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, really quick by Grunwald. He gets on that cut very nicely to start things off. Konecek looking to catch up. Oh, but Grunwald had a cutout there, so he had to restart on his second cut, and he's still fast. Look at that. He gets through in 7.68. Now, I do believe that that is an incorrect time right there because that can't be true. He had a cutout. He had to restart, and so that means that his time will be more around 12, 13 seconds. But both of these guys really, really nice. The problem there with Simon Grunwald on the right-hand side, yeah, there you go, 12.91 seconds is, and we'll hopefully see this in the slow-mo. He actually had a really, really great start. His first cut and picking up the saw and getting on top of that block was very quick, much quicker than Robin Konecek, but he did cut out on his way back up on the upstroke. So let's have a look here what happened. There we see Konecek. Good position with the hands. How quick was he right there to get that saw up into position? Great start by Grunwald there, and you can see the two different styles. More blade down and more engine even. And do we get to see the slow-mo of the cutout? Doesn't look like it, no, but we have that second cookie clean, and both cuts are good, so the times will count. So for both of these guys, unfortunate for Simon Grunwald, though, because it could have been about 2, maybe even 3 seconds faster without that cutout. All right, our next heat in the blocks will be Danny Vielwert up against Mike Brockmann.
And I'm here with the first interview. Really quick. Wie hast du dich gefühlt? Du bist quasi die Zukunft dieses Sports. Wie hast du dich gefühlt gerade eben?
Ja, natürlich, es wird schon ein wenig was von dir vorausgesetzt. Also es ist ein bisschen ein Druck ist schon da, das muss man ehrlich sagen. Und ja, mal schauen, wie es weitergeht. Die erste Disziplin, ja, zumindest kein DQ-Unit, das ist einmal sehr wichtig. Und jetzt geht es dann weiter mit Standing Block. Mal schauen.
I'll translate for a second. So he said he's a lot of under pressure because he's not competing for him, but for the team. But he's keen for the discipline and he'll see how it goes, the standing block job. Well, wie wirst du dich jetzt vorbereiten für die nächste Disziplin?
Ja, einmal Block natürlich visualisieren, Linien noch einmal, Konturen nachgehen und schauen einfach den perfekten Schwung, die Hüfte auflockern und dann einfach voll Fokus auf den Block. Wo platziere ich meine Schläge und dann wird das schon funktionieren.
Okay, so he's going to take a close look at the wood block and he's going to do some hip exercises to get warm and we'll follow you and be cheering for you. Back to the studio.
All right, next blocks ready, and next heats coming out onto the stage. Heat number 3 with Danny Vielwert from Germany and Mike Brockmann from the Netherlands. Danny Fjellvedt will be on stand A on the left-hand side of your screen here, and Mike Broekman stand B on the right-hand side. A couple of guys that are pretty evenly matched up age-wise, size-wise, weight-wise, so not really a major concern when we talk about the stock saw, because this is a tool that comes directly off of the shelf, more or less, from any STIHL dealership. It's the MS661 saw, and each of these saws is tested thoroughly by a technician before the competition to make sure that everything is fair for all the athletes. So really, this is about technique, getting on that saw quickly and making sure that you don't put too much pressure on it to stall that blade and make sure that chain keeps running. So good start by both of these guys here as I talk through the start, but Fjellvedt with a really nice first cut, barely any upswing on the transition. It looks like he's going to get this one in a pretty solid time, winning that battle, and it is a 13.71 for Danny Fjellvedt and a 13.75 for Mike Broekman. These are, of course, unofficial times as I call them out here, and we see them on screen, but they are only made official once our judge on stage gives the thumbs up for both stands.
All right, both cuts are good.
There you go. So those times are official. Danny Fjellvedt with a time of 13.56 sits in 4th place at the moment in stock saw, and Mike Broekman with a 16.07 after the adjustment of timing is down and in 6th place at the moment. Not out of the fight by any stretch of the imagination, but he needs to consider how things are going to go with the standing block chop, the underhand chop, and the single buck. There's lots of action still to come for these rookies. And there you can see right there, perfect example. He got the saw up quickly, but he hovered over top of the block before he started to initiate the cut. And there is a cutout. That's what I talked about earlier on with Simon Grönwald. He had that cutout, and the same thing happened there. So it was about resetting the saw and making sure that cookie is complete. So it's very important to make sure that those cookies are complete and whole and not broken at all after that second cut is made. Otherwise, those cuts will not be valid and good. And a quick look into the Competition Control Center before we join us back here.
Yeah, I'm going to start all that
doing a little bit of
practice.
exercise.
Yeah. And honestly, I think that is very important. You taught me like a month ago or something that all you get from the core stability is very, very important for all the chops. So
yeah, absolutely.
Why not? Let's
and not just in the chopping, but also in the Sawyer disciplines, especially when you're talking about the single buck later on in the competition. You'll see that 2-meter misery whip. These guys have to manage that thing through. But yeah, it's all about training and warming up and making sure you're fit for the show.
Well, then let's find out how the hip movement is going to work for Grönwald and Perrin on XT.
All right, here we go. I don't know. I'm thinking, Marcus, you and I should maybe get ourselves into the mix here with, at the very minimum, the stock saw. We could probably handle that, huh?
Well, I'd love to be honest, especially looking at Kesselhaus. I mean, this place looks absolutely fantastic. Be great. Maybe we can sneak in there night later on and give it a try and tell everybody about it tomorrow at the Austrian Championships.
Oh, really nice start by both of these guys. Grönwald on the left, Perrin on the right. Those cookies dropped almost at the same time. Very thin cookie by Perrin, and he's got it with a nice time. Now look at that. The world record was 6.85 for the rookies. Perrin with an 11.85. So he's a little off pace for the world record, but a good heat right there, and that puts him with that time in 2nd place. After the adjustment, both cuts are actually good now, and after a timing adjustment from our Competition Control Center, Michel, Perrin with a 11.65 time. That's in 2nd place behind Loic Voisin. Sébastien Bateau in 3rd place with an 11.75. And as I mentioned, Sébastien Bateau with that time as a personal best. And Simon and Nikolai Grönwald, they're sitting in 4th and 5th. So Nikolai in 4th with a time of 12.14 from that heat. And Simon Grönwald with a 12.91 from the heat previous. And you can see that final upstroke cut by Perrin, just fantastic. And he obviously had quite a bit of pressure there because that saw swung up as he came through the final bit of the cut, but he didn't stall that blade, so it was perfect. It was good
I was
job.
just looking at that, but that looked a bit scary to me, especially in slow motion. What doesn't look scary to me is the schedule that we have for this year.
Yes.
There's so
Awesome.
much STIHL Timbersports coming up. We'll just give you a short glimpse of what to expect. Yeah. Any favorites, Troy? Don't say all of them.
Well, there's so many tough ones, but I mean, I'm super excited about today's rookie stuff, and anytime the rookies come up, you got a lot of things that are in the mix there that it's a bit of a mystery. So there could be surprises, it could be any kind of fun things that pop up, but the rookies are the future of the events. The European Nations Cup is where we're at right now. The European nations doing battle against each other, and the rookies in the mix here as well. Tomorrow we've got the Austrian Pro Championships from the same location at the Kesselhaus in Munich. So that should be a good one too, because as an Austrian yourself, there's fire in the bellies of these guys when it comes to battling against each other. There's a ton of stuff going on this summer.
I like that there's fires in the bellies. And of course, if you want to watch some of the old competitions, why not? Everything is available online, and maybe if you want to take a look at Amazon Prime every now and then, you can see STIHL Timbersports. So make sure to watch the new competitions, make sure to watch the old competitions, and make sure to watch the rookies, because we've got the next heat coming up for you right now.
So entering our stage area, Oliver Reinhardt and Quinten Verheert. Now, Oliver Reinhardt has, I don't know, he's got a gold brick somewhere in there, a golden horseshoe. This boy has some serious luck, but he also can depend on a mega amount of skills. He's got winning in the blood, it seems like, and he's a guy to watch today for sure, to really represent Switzerland in the best possible way. And it's not going to be long before we're going to see that young man competing against the pros. So let's see how he does. So Verheert was actually a little bit quicker on the saw, and you can see these guys are sharing a similar style as far as how they... Oh, no! A bit of a stall there by Reinhardt, and that left the door open for Quinten Verheert to get through, and he was just a hair faster than Oliver Reinhardt as they checked the cookies. And one thing you'll hear a lot in timber sports is thin to win. So if they can make those cookies thin, there's not as much binding on the saw as they come through, which makes it a little bit easier and therefore faster.
Okay, both cuts are good.
So Oliver Reinhardt has a 13.26. That slips him into 6th place there. And Quinten Verheert with a 13.49, just below him in 7th place. As we take a look there, really nice quick attack on the block by Verheert. He did a great job getting up there. Now let's see if this is Reinhardt's saw. This is a Reinhardt saw right here. I believe we see the blade. No, we don't see it. Unfortunately, we don't get the slow-mo of that quick stall, but that's one of the things we talk about quite a lot in this discipline, is making sure that you don't apply too much pressure, but you want to have enough pressure to make sure that saw keeps moving cleanly, but not so much that the chain stops.
Well, here we have the standings for the moment. Any big surprises for you, Troy, or do you think this is more or less that what we were about to expect from this competition so far?
I'm a little bit surprised that Oliver Reinhardt didn't do better in the stock saw, but this isn't his strongest discipline by a stretch. So, I mean, that he's 6th, he's middle of the pack at the moment. Otherwise, not really any major surprises, to be honest with you.
Well, let's keep on rocking back to the Kesselhaus. The next heat is ready. And that, of course, is Lukas Wagesreiter versus Alessandro Ciapponi.
Ciapponi. Excellent. This should be a nice battle. The two guys that are pretty strong in this discipline. You can see their personal bests are also very close together, just over the 10-second mark. And they'll definitely be making improvements as time goes by. And the thing is that Lukas Wagesreiter, he's a real strong sawyer here as well. So let's just see how the two of them go head-to-head. Ciapponi, it's a tough call on this one. It's really tough. We'll have to see how it folds out when they actually get going. All right, so here you can see Lukas Wagesreiter keeping his saw mid-block. Schiapponi quick on the upstroke, barely any swing as he transitioned. And it's Wageschreiter, who was just a hair faster than Schiapponi, coming through up to the top of the second cut. It was a real nice battle between these two guys, and some fairly close times between them as well. Schiapponi with a 13:37 and Wageschreiter with a 13:15. Of course, these are unofficial until we get the thumbs up. And there seems to be a lot of discussion on Schiapponi's block right now, so hopefully both those cookies are good. Oh no, we've got a yellow flag there, so let's see what they have to say here.
Oh yeah, there it is.
The music in the background.
Yeah.
Dastardly.
The yellow flag.
Okay, your cut was good. Your cut was not to teach you did not catch two entire discs, unfortunately.
All right, so we have our first disqualification of the competition, and unfortunately, that is Schiapponi, who gets the DQ for incomplete cookie. Now, maybe in the slow-mo, we'll have a chance to actually see where the cookie was incomplete. It didn't look like he cut over the line. Both of them were really fast on the pickup and initial attack of the log. And that is Schiapponi's cookie there. I'm wondering if he cut out at the top. It looks like he might have had a bit of an... Oh, yeah. It looks like he was coming at an angle towards the top. Is getting thinner as he came towards the top. So...
But that is just a shame, because that is just a lack of routine, if you ask me.
Yeah.
You know, he would have just stayed in that position, no problem at all. Maybe went to the side too early. And maybe Schiapponi can tell us himself. I think Pia has got him in front of the microphone right now. Over to you guys and the Kesslers.
Yes, I've got him right by my side, Alessandro Schiapponi. What is going on in your head right now? Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I do a mistake with the song. I did the DQ, but I have to be prepared for the next hit and continue my competition.
Get it out of the head. I'm keen to watch you in the next heat. How do you prepare? What is your plan or strategy?
Yeah, be focused. Only be focused.
I'm sure you will do that. You will do great. Well, back to the studio.
All right, so the go-ahead for our next heat to come on stage, heat number 7, and that is Robin Haas from Switzerland going up against Marseilles Steinkemper from Germany. And this is a discipline where both of these guys are also very evenly matched. Steinkemper has the chance to work with some of the best stock sawyers in the world in Germany, and so look for him to really try and do well in a discipline that he's going to want to have his stamp placed on. Meanwhile, Robin Haas, he is no slouch at all. So let's see how these two guys battle against each other. And as I mentioned earlier, you do get to start the saw. It does get to start running, but a couple of years ago, before the institution of the pads underneath those saws, they used to bounce around a lot. So there was an added skill of being able to catch that saw before it ran away on you. Here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Nice even start. Steinkemper looking very good on that initial cut. But it's going to be Haas getting that first cookie drop. Oh, boy. Very, very close between the two. Robin Haas with a 13-13. Steinkemper with a 13-30. Again, really, really close. And we can see here the wood is quite fair because the times are all right on top of each other.
Okay, both cuts are good.
All right, so Steinkemper is just moved ahead of Danny Vielwert in the rankings at the moment in 10th place, with Robin Haas jumping up into 6th place with his time of 13:09 as we take a look back at the slow-mo here. See how quickly they got on those saws. My goodness, are these guys ever fast. And there was that first cookie drop by Robin Haas. Very nice job. And you could see that last little pull from Steinkemper. They were so close together. And we'll get a chance to see what the ranking is in stock saw here shortly before we move on to our final heat. And there you see Loic Voisin with the time to beat so far in 11:54. Michel Perrin in second, and Sebastian Bateau in third. And you can see it's only 21/100ths of a second off pace to the third position from first, and we still have one more heat to go. And there you see Alessandro Chiapponi with that unfortunate DQ. Otherwise, could have had another clean competition right through, which we had the last time. All right, so we started off with a nation battling against each other, and we're finishing off the stock saw with a nation battling against each other. Our next heat, 2 Swedes going up against each other in heat number 8. Edvin Carlson up against Adam Björns. Now you can see the personal best for Edvin Carlson is a good second faster than Adam Björns. Let's see if he can actually bring that personal best to fruition here in this head-to-head Swedish battle. So he seems to be having trouble getting that saw started. Now finally does get it going. They only have a certain amount of time to get those saws started. And usually those saws are absolutely dependable. Here we go. Ooh, big trouble for Edvin Carlson as that saw almost got away from him on the initial cut. Björn's looking very good though after struggling to get that saw started. He's got a nice flow, but it's going to be Carlson with a good final cut, and Björn's coming in just behind him. Wow, what a battle for Carlson off the hop. That saw bucked him like a bronco. It pulled right into the block, and he really needed to jump on that thing to try and control it as best as possible. And you just saw the judge go by him and give him a grin. Hey, I saw that happen. That was crazy. All right.
Both cuts are good, and that's
both cuts are good. So Edvin Carlson is moved into 13th there, and Adam Björns in 15th. Now, this is just the first discipline in round 1 for these guys, but you can see there's a lot of shifting around. Now, let's take a look at the slow-mos here, and hopefully we can get a quick look here. Oh, yeah, he struggled with that thing. It was wiggling and waggling. It looked like a cat's tail as he was thinking about catching a mouse, and that thing just jumped right into the block. But there was a really nice transition by Carlson, and he didn't waste any time on getting a nice, clean upstroke. And there you can see Björns with also struggling on the upstroke with a little chain stall, but not very much. It was super short as we take a look at the stock saw results.
Well, here we go. Vincent still up on top, like you mentioned before Perrin and then Bateau. I think these 3 athletes are definitely going to be the ones to watch for the next 2 disciplines at least. Here we have, at the end of the table, Boyan and Chiappioni. Chiappioni, of course, the only athlete with a DQ so far, so he's going to have a lot of pressure at the next discipline.
Well, he's got to work his butt off in order to get the points that he needs to move on to the next round. So, I mean, that's the problem with having a slower time in the first discipline. You got to work harder in the next discipline. But sometimes these guys work off their strengths rather than their weaknesses, which is an intelligent choice.
Absolutely. And Carlson, he's the man we're going to talk to now in Kesselhaus. Pia, what do you have for us?
Yes, we're back at the Kesselhaus, and I've got Edvin Carlson right next to me, one of the Swedish athletes. You've done this quite a lot now. What is your expertise on the last heat? Like, what is your thought?
It didn't go as planned. A little bit of a struggle in the start, but yeah.
But you're happy now with the result?
Could have done better, I think.
But there are a lot of heats, more to go. What is your strategy now?
Just focusing on the other disciplines. Yeah.
Okay, so stay in focus. Thank you for your honesty, and we'll hand back to you to Munich.
Well, I have to say, I love this man's attitude.
Yeah.
He got position 13. That is not good enough. I can do better. I'm going to focus on the next disciplines. That's the way to go, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like in any sport, you know, if you have a bad run, if you have a bad time, if you don't get the goal that you want to get, you kind of have to put that out of your mind and move on to the next thing that you've got to do. You got to refocus, because if you're always thinking about the thing you did wrong and the thing that you did before on your next discipline, then you're in trouble. You might as well just throw in the axe now, because there's no point.
Just one short thing before we move on to the next discipline. Would you rather be standing behind your opponent or in front of your opponent, or do you think it doesn't make a difference?
I think everybody's got a different headspace as far as that's concerned. Some guys like to lead from in front, and some guys like to lead from behind. Now, it's funny to say that, because how do you lead from behind? Well, there are guys out there that are so confident in their chopping skills, for instance, that if they have a halfway decent time in the stock saw, and they know that they're going to be lined up against a guy that's maybe not as strong in the underhand chop or the standing block chop, that they can come from behind and maybe take over. So, you know, it's two different schools of thought.
Yeah, and next discipline, of course, is the standing block chop. And how standing block chop works, we'll take a look at this and you'll know all about it.
Standing block chop. At the standing block chop, the felling of a tree with an axe is simulated. A vertically positioned wooden block with a diameter of 27 centimeters has to be cut through from both sides. A powerful and precise swing with the axe is the premise of a good result.
So here we have the start list for this discipline. It will be Quinten Verhaert taking on Adam Björns. Then we'll have Mike Bröckmann take on Sebastian Barthot. Then the Austrian duel, Robin Konicek against Lukas Wagesreiter, followed by Marseilles Steinkemper from Germany against Italian Michael Perrin. Then we're going to have Denny Vielwert against Mikołaj Grönwald, Germany against Poland. Switzerland's Robin Haas take on Italians Alessandro Tieponi. And then in Heat 7, the Swedish Edvin Carlson take on the French Loic Vincent. And finally in Heat 8, Switzerland versus Poland, Oliver Reinhardt take on Szymon Grönwald. A lot to look forward to, and we're ready to rock and roll.
All right, so Quinten Verhaert up against Adam Björns. And we've got a nice little heat going on here. And, you know, you'll see that these times aren't on the world stage fantastic. But remember, these guys are rookies, and this is a discipline where targeting, power, and precision are so important. On the right-hand side, you've got Adam Björns. On the left-hand side, Quinten Verhaert. What's really important here is to know when to switch over to the other side and really start working on the other side of that block. Now remember, as you saw in the description, these blocks have to be worked from both sides. There is a time limit, and it is going to be Björns moving over to the other side of his block first. So as far as that's concerned, he's got the advantage having moved over to the other side. Verhaert still working on the first side, looking like he maybe wants to go a bit deeper, makes a last-minute decision there. I think that was like, okay, I'll go over, why not? And Verhaert is, I think he's questioning the situation there, but Björns is looking really good on this. It might be a personal best time for him as well. He's just got to block that, and he does it. Oh, yes, there it is. Personal best under a minute now, 53:47. So he has just gotten past his previous personal best, which was over a minute. Verhaert, on the other hand, is struggling, coming past the 1 minute mark. And yeah, I think he second-guessed himself a little bit too much in this discipline. He didn't go as deep as maybe he probably should have on the first side. And you could see the cuts there. They're kind of all over the map. So this is where that time and learning really where you're targeting and how to be super precise on these cuts comes into play. And that's a big deal for these guys to learn this over time, coming from the rookies. And there you see that time limit that I talked about earlier means that he's gone past the 1 minute 30 mark to make this, and that is a DQ for him. So our second DQ of the competition has just happened with Quinten Verhaert. That's going to be a disappointing result for him, but a great job by Adam Björns with the fastest time of the day so far as the first athlete out under a minute, and a personal best for the young Swede.
You had a DQ out of time. The time limit is 1:30. You took more.
All right, so Quinten Verhaert with a DQ for being time exceeded. And let's take a little bit of a look back at the slow-mos here. Really nice start by both of these guys, actually. And it looked good for both of them as they got in there. They started slabbing out nicely. But it was Björn's that just really had that great targeting. His precision of hits was good. He didn't overpower the hits and get the axe stuck in there too much. For Hert there, he looked like he might have actually been a bit tired. He was using more of his shoulders and his back to make those blows, and not as much coming from the leg and the hips. And you can see here the Swedish athlete Adam Björns was using his whole body, pushing off that back leg, twisting his hips and putting a lot of really accurate power into that block, and he did a great job. Our first athlete out there, I mean, okay, it's the first heat. He's going to have the fastest time. That's the time to beat.
Still, time under 1 minute.
A personal best is always, always, always good to see, no matter if it's not really awesome time or not. But this was great. I mean, he basically obliterated his previous personal best, which was well over a minute. So good job.
And two things I noticed, Adam Björns, he really chucked out big pieces of wood. Like on the first 4 or 5 strokes, I thought, wow, I mean, what's going on? So the precision you talked about is very, very important. And of course, the physique at the end, you could see that last chop, he was like, oh, thank Lord it's over. Because you're exhausted. I mean, he did a fantastic job. And I don't think that too many athletes are going to be under 1 minute today.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, you know, it's a really difficult discipline, and particularly the standing block chop, because the angle of the axe has to be just right. If it's too much or too little, you could bounce it off the block, and then it's dangerous, and you don't get the time, you don't get the cut. So yeah, good job by him.
So back to the Kesselhaus, back to the next heat, which is heat number 2 between Mike Bröckmann and Sébastien Bateau.
Okay, a couple of practice swings by both of these guys. And wow, Sébastien Bateau with a personal best of 32 seconds. This would be a fun one to watch as they get into it right away. Mike Bröckmann going for 2 hits down below. Sébastien Bateau starting at the bottom, moving to the top, and then doubling up each of the hits at those locations, slabbing out nicely. Bröckmann with his back to us on the left-hand side of your screen, though, so it's tough to see what he's actually doing there. But Bateau looking very good as he's getting in deep, and he's moving over to the other side at the 20-second mark. I don't think he's going to make his 30-second personal best, but that could have been perfectly good wood at the time. But Bröckmann is now over to the other side of his block as well, and thinking Bateau might be dropping his block before Bröckmann. There's a little skip that I was talking about. Bröckmann had the angle just a little bit off, but both of these guys battling hard now. Coming up on the 45-second mark, passing it, and it's Bateau getting close. Could be 4-5. More drives by Bateau to get it off of there. One more should do it, and he's got it at 52.22, and he's just gone faster than Adam Björns. Let's see what the time says when it's adjusted. Oh, excuse me, 55.22. I think I need glasses here. And Bröckmann with a time of 1:02.70, so he's inside the 1:30 mark. And look at these guys, winded. And again, it's one of those things that you learn coming from being a rookie, going into the pro level, how to conserve that energy and use your body efficiently. All right, so there we have it. Sébastien Bateau with an official time adjusted to 54.89. That means Adam Björns is still on top by just 1.79 seconds. Bröckmann sitting in 3rd place with a 1:02.52. So we got 2 guys under the 1 minute mark, but so far the time to beat is still belonging to the young Swede. So you know that the pros from Sweden are going to be looking at that and rubbing their hands together going, ha ha ha.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
You can see here, his technique is very good, actually. He just came over to the other side there and started hammering on the backside, but it was Sébastien Bateau who was just a little bit quicker, and these last couple of drives to get that block off were just fantastic. But you could tell he was getting tired. As you get tired, you start to get lazy with your body positioning. You know, you stand up a little higher, you're not using your hips, you're not driving off that back leg, and you start to use your shoulders and arms a little bit more than you should. So there is our first set of results here with only 1 DQ so far in this particular discipline. And in the overall standings, that shifts things around a little bit. Sébastien Bateau on top with 29 points, not that far behind, 9, 10, 11 points, excuse me, Adam Björns, but there's still plenty of action coming our way with heat number 3 in this discipline coming up next.
Yeah. So Batu having the overall lead, I think he's the man we should talk to. And I've heard that Pia has him by her side. So Pia and Sebastian, let's hear it from you guys.
Yes, he's right by my side, Sébastien Batu. Dans la dernière, I'm translate in a second. Dans la dernière série, tu as une personnelle best et tu fais partie de l'équipe nationale. Est-ce que tu es mis sous pression par ça?
Oui, quand même un petit peu. Ça met la pression. On essaie de faire avec, on la gère comme on peut.
So I asked if he's feeling a bit under pressure because he's competing for the team and not for himself. And he said yes, but he's trying his best and he keeps doing that. And la seconde question, oui. Quelles sont tes attentes pour le reste de la compétition?
Je vais essayer de me débrouiller comme je peux et faire mon maximum pour arriver à conserver ma place.
Merci pour votre temps. Well, I asked if he has what his expectations are for the following heats, and he said he will give his best, his maximum, and just be great, like he was until now. So back to the studio.
All right. Heat number 3, and Robin Konacek up against Lukas Wageschreiter. A couple of guys that are pretty solid in this discipline, Marcus. I'm looking forward to seeing this one.
Well, of course, they know each other very well, so this is going to be an interesting one, because I think this always gives it this little bit of extra if you're fighting against somebody you know very well.
Yeah, absolutely. We call it the battle of the 49th parallel in North America, Canada versus the U.S. It's sort of similar here, Germany against Austria.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So right away you can see these guys are both getting into it really hard. Nice big pushes off that back leg, driving that axe into the block. Really accurate hits, and you can see the difference between accurate hits and hits that are just sort of all over the map, as those two wedges that you see forming in the block are almost smooth completely, and that means these guys are hitting at each stroke almost exactly in the same spot. Bad example right there, but that's what I mean generally. And these guys are both really going at us with big, heavy blows. Lukas Wageschreiter on the backside of his block, done it in a fantastic time. Oh my goodness, 34.55 for Lukas Wageschreiter. That was quick. I don't even think he realized how fast that was. We're going to have to take a closer look at that and see what the official time will be after adjustment. And now you can see Konacek is getting tired. He's breathing heavy. He's using mostly his arms and his shoulders to try and drive that axe through. He's not pushing off that back leg as much. And that results in the axe getting stuck and a bit lazy with the angle. And that could be dangerous as far as blade skips or that axe coming away from the block. You can see a big slab came off there, though, and still trying to get through inside the 1:30. He's still got a few seconds left, and it looks like he's getting close, but he's got to make it happen quickly if he doesn't want to have a DQ, and it's, wow, it's so close. Hopefully he can do it. Crossing our fingers for this man. Come on, you can do it, buddy. There it is! Woohoo! Nice.
You can feel so for these guys, can't you?
Man. I mean, I'm getting nervous just watching that because I definitely wanted to have him have his points there, you know, and have a time. The DQ is the worst.
Oh, yeah, nobody.
So good job by him to finally get through there, but he was really struggling at the end there. So Robin Konacek with an unofficial 1:27.96 and Lukas Wageschreiter with a blistering time.
Okay, both cuts are good.
So there you go. And you know what I'm surprised to see here? Lukas Wageschreiter's time of 33.92, not a personal best. So what does that tell you about how quickly he can get through the block normally? And you can see here, Lukas pushing off that back foot really nicely as he started off. And it was the same thing for Konacek as well, but then he just started to get tired towards the end of the block. So this is why it's so important for these guys to really make sure their training is not just power training in the off-season. You want to make sure that your conditioning is almost marathon-like so that you can keep pushing your muscles and making sure that those hits are clean and accurate every single time. But this was a really, really nice battle here by these two guys, but Lukas Wageschreiter, who you saw there, just dropping that block at 33.92 with the time to beat. Whew, that's going to be a tough one to beat for these guys. Very, very fast. I'm still amazed that Lukas Wageschreiter's 33.92 isn't a personal best for him.
Well, I just looked it up. It's 27.99.
Goodness gracious, O'Malley.
Yep.
What are you going to do about that then? That's
very impressive.
Oh my goodness. I could barely cut a loaf of bread in 27 seconds, let alone a log. Unbelievable.
Okay, great stuff. And that's what we're talking about. That's the rookies. That's the future. And in this case, this was very special because it was Austria against Austria. But of course, they're just fighting for points. They are fighting for time. And at the end of the day, this is a nation thing. You know, these are 8 nations competing for the Nations Cup. So all the points that the rookies collect are going to be very, very valuable for the pros who are going to start competing at 1900 hours at 7 p.m. So this all adds up together, and yeah, let's see how it works out in the next heat. Good luck, guys.
Yeah, excuse me, I said Austria-Germany earlier, didn't I? But it was Austria-Austria.
Austria. But
thank you for that and correcting me. That's that was a faux pas hooked in from my side, hey? Unbelievable. So, speaking of Germany, there we go. Marseilles Steinkemper in the mix here, up against Michel Perrin. Now, Michel Perrin is a very tall guy, so this should be an advantage for him, as the Italian will have a lot of opportunity to really come from far back with that axe. Steinkemper working that very nicely. Really, really good job, but Michel Perrin already moving over to the other side. Steinkemper about 2 strokes behind Perrin now. So this is going to be a bit of a game of catch-up for Steinkemper, as Perrin has got that axe head moving quickly and really not wasting any time to get as many blows as possible. But holy smokes, folks, we got a personal best for Marcel Steinkemper with 21.03. It's good wood today for him. Oh my goodness. And he has just jumped up into the lead in standing block chop. So we have a personal best on both of these stands, actually, with a 21.36 for Michel Perrin as well. So 2 personal bests in this heat, but Marcel Steinkemper with an absolutely blistering time, and now it's been adjusted to 20.91.
Unbelievable. Honestly, I can't believe this. His best time so far was 24.08, which also is a fantastic time. But to go even better than that.
He just obliterated that time.
Wow.
Great job by the German and by the Italian. Both of these guys under the 30-second mark. And you can see here, they just both went for it. There's that first blow by Steinkemper, the first blow by Perrin as well. And yeah, you could see Steinkemper really knows what's going on. And there's a perfect example of the accuracy I was talking about. Each and every blow is right on the wedge, and you could see it wasn't far behind. Maybe we'll get another view of both of these guys dropping their blocks here. No, unfortunately not. But Steinkemper just really powering off that back leg, twisting through the hips, just fantastic blows. And right there, the final blow for the top time. And Marcel Steinkemper moves into the top spot in standing block, and that also puts him into 4th place in the overall standings so far. So he's in a really good position at the moment, coming into a couple of disciplines later on that are definitely his strength. And there you see Marcel Steinkemper sitting in 4th, Lukas Wageschreiter just ahead of him in 3rd, Sebastian Bateau in 2nd, and Michel Perrin in top spot after that good time from him in the standing block chop as well. So things are turning out very interesting for these rookies. As I said, you know, anything and everything can and will happen. So it's making it fun and more interesting as we go along.
And you're absolutely right. There's Danny Fielwert against Nikolai Grönwald coming up in our next heat. Maybe something you can tell us about the difference of standing block chop rookies compared to the pros?
At this point with these times, I don't know if I could tell you anything different. I mean, these guys are, yeah, I mean...
That's why I'm asking. This is
kicking butt and taking names. I mean, the pros, they have times that are also really, really fast, but these rookies are so close, it's not even funny.
3, 2, 1, go!
All right, these 2 guys both have personal best just over the 20-second mark. So Grönwald, Fielwert, let's see if this is going to come down to the wire for these 2 guys as well. Grönwald moving over to the other side of his block right away. I didn't see the picture of Fielwert, but he's also over there. It looks like he was maybe a stroke behind. They're both passing the 21-second mark now, but it's going to be close for both of these guys. Oh, wow! Fielwert with a 24.77, Grönwald with a 24.75. That is about as close as a battle gets. Fantastic job by both of them. And Danny Fjellvert jumps up into second place. Grunwald slips into third ahead of Michel Perrin and Lukas Wageschreiter in the standing block chop results. And they've got thumbs up from the judges. Our adjustments are looking good as well. So the official time is Danny Fjellvert with a 24.50 and Nikolai Grunwald with a 26.82.
Troy, I have to say I am more than surprised at these times.
Yeah.
Thinking about all the pressure, thinking about being up on this big stage with a new format, I was expecting times around a minute. And a lot of athletes being on top of a minute. And now we take a look at this and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 athletes under 30 seconds.
Yep. And we've also had a couple of personal bests drop as well. But the thing that, I mean, it still surprises me that Lukas Wageschreiter's time of 33.92 wasn't a personal best for him. But, you know, he's obviously been training on this discipline quite a lot, as have all of these guys, which is clear from the way that they're performing today. And we know that they do a lot to work with the wood to make sure that they have really fair wood. And obviously this wood is chopping very nicely in the Kessel House today. So I'm going to say conditions are probably as good as it gets. And there you could see those big blows from Danny Fjellvert. Now we move on to Robin Haas going up against Alessandro Chiapponi. Now this is an opportunity for Alessandro Chiapponi to really try and make up some ground after a disqualification in the stock saw. He's also got a very good personal best time of 20 seconds and change. So this could be a discipline where he makes a bit of a comeback. Unfortunately, that score of a DQ means he has 0 points, so it's going to be a hard job for him in general from the competition standpoint from now on.
3, 2, 1, go!
Robin Haas was just a little bit quicker on the initial drive, but Chiapponi right there with him, and Chiapponi's got a quick axe. He's moved over to the other side already. Robin Haas still working on side number 1 now. He's come in about 4 strokes behind Chiapponi, and this is a discipline where Chiapponi tends to excel, and he's very, very strong, getting in deep on that side. Nice job for Chiapponi with a 21.11, and that is great. That puts him in second place at the moment. Robin Haas does it in 27.10, and that moves him into 5th place in the standing block chop. 2 really good results for these guys. And we're already well under the 30-second mark for a bunch of our athletes today. And that just tells me everything I need to know about the class of these rookies moving on to the next phase of their careers in STIHL Timbersports.
Okay, broadcast out.
Yeah, we always like to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not very often that we're seeing DQs in the standing block chop. The only time that we really see a DQ in the standing block chop is if an athlete starts ahead of the actual go. And that doesn't happen very often. These guys are so well practiced on getting that backswing ready to go so that by the time they're partway through that first drive towards the block that the go is already spoken or the gun is already shot. So, but a really great job. And you can see these guys just slabbing out massive pieces of wood from that block. Chiapponi, he got a little bit stuck right there, but it didn't seem to affect him too much. On the other hand there, Robin Haas got a little bit stuck in there. Or excuse me, yeah, it was Robin Haas that got a little bit stuck in there as we take a look at the standing block chop results, and maybe we'll get an overall as well and how that affects the overall standings here. So we've still got 1 DQ with an exceeded of time, and Konachek, boy, we were really rooting for him there with the 3 seconds to go, or 2 and change to go before his time runs out, and he did manage to do it. All right, so we're not going to get an overall, but just to give you a heads up, in the overall standings, Nikolai Grunwald, Michel Perrin, and Robin Haas are in 1, 2, and 3 positions. As we go on stage now for our next standing block chop heat, heat number 7 with Edvin Carlson and Loïc Poisson. This is a very strong discipline for Loïc Poisson, so watch the Frenchman come on strong here. Edvin Carlson, no slouch though, with a personal best time of 19:25.
Ready, stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So for the lead here, they need 2086. That's the time from Alessandro Giapponi in standing block chop. Wow. Voisin already onto the other side of his block. Carlson 2 strokes behind. Personal best for Voisin is just passed. It's a 16-second mark there. 1925 for Carlson. And, oh, one more blow for Voisin is going to do it at 26.85. And Carlson, 29.26, as that last stroke, it got him a little bit off balance, and he had to take a step to try and recapture his footing. You can see these guys take very, very good care of these super expensive and extremely sharp axes. Immediately after that, they'll put those sheaths back on to protect them. So there you go, 29.65 against the 26.60. Neither of these hitting their personal best times, but it made for a nice switcheroo inside the standings. Edvin Carlson slipping into 8th place, and Loïc Voisin up there in 4th place now with his time of 26.60. As we take a look here, and you could see Voisin not wasting any time as he got in not as deep as I would have expected on the first side, and really went for it. And you can see both of them are now adopting, or a lot of these athletes are now adopting, that quick axe movement. So that's been basically something that's developed from Australia and New Zealand, where the guys down there are just moving the axe with such incredible speed, and everybody else is now trying to emulate that, because really it's the only way they're going to get through these competitions and be able to win.
But did you see that last stroke? How far that piece of wood was?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
I wouldn't want to be a baseball getting hit by him. I'll tell you that much.
That is very impressive.
Yeah, you can see the angle of his axe changes quite a lot through this heat, but obviously it didn't affect him that much. And yeah, we move on to our next heat with Oliver Reinhardt and Simon Grunwald.
He's only 16 years old, Simon Grunwald.
16 years old. And
his top time in standing block chop, do you know it by heart?
13:20.
13:20.
Unbelievable.
At the Polish Rookie Championships 2021. So this definitely is the man to watch now. 16 years. Can't believe it.
Ready.
Big boy for 16, though. He's fit.
3, 2, 1, go!
So it's Simon Grunwald on the right-hand side, Oliver Reinhardt on the left-hand side. Oliver Reinhardt's been winning events for a long time now, so this is one more where that fire will be burning in his belly, and he wants to definitely have it. Simon Grunwald looking like he might be 1-2 strokes away. 1 stroke, 17.33. Holy smokes, folks! Oliver Reinhardt with a 17.34.01 seconds behind. They are definitely going to have to do some correction in Competition Control Center, because that was just too close for even a photo finish. They're going to need those high-speed cameras today for that one. Wow, what a great battle.
Oh, that is unreal.
Okay, book cuts.
Oh, really celebrating that in Kesselhaus.
What a joker, eh? So Simon Grunwald with a 17.05 adjusted time for Oliver Reinhardt was a 17.25, so 20 hundredths of a second behind. And here you see the practice swings just before things get going. But look at Grunwald go. He's just so quick, so accurate, and getting over to the other side, not wasting any time. And watch these final couple of strokes on the right-hand side of your screen there. Just so intense how much power these guys can put into that. And again, you mentioned that block flying away. These guys could be professional baseball players the way they're hitting those things like baseballs.
That's
unbelievable.
Unreal. And this guy is 16 years old.
Yeah. Oliver Reinhardt looks over, he's like, what? I thought I had you.
How fantastic was that?
Yeah.
So here's the overall standing. Of course, Grunwald with that performance up on top, but take a look at the points. Only one between him and Vincent, and Reinhard is there in third position, so he's definitely
just 3 points back,
well.
so he's definitely in the mix as well. But you can't count anybody out in the top 7, I would say, because Robin Haas in 7th place is 20 points, so yeah. And if we're going to take a quick look at the nations ranking.
Yep, absolutely, because that's what it's all about. You need both athletes competing together, and there's the points added up. Here we have
Poland on top with 19 points total. France right behind them. Then Switzerland. But the difference between Poland and France at the moment is 6.5 points. Excuse me, 5.5 points. So it's not close, I'm going to say. But between France and Switzerland, it's 13-5-0 to 12-5-0. So, I mean, it's going to be a battle for second place at the moment, but we've still got a lot of action coming our way. There's 2 more disciplines to go. So we're not going to count anybody out at this point.
No way. And we're definitely not going to count out Pia, because she's got someone in Kesselhaus who wants to tell us all about the last discipline. Over to you guys.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. Well, we're now on site. I am having the next interview. Das war gerade amazing. Das war gerade richtig cool. Du bist jetzt am 2. Platz. Wie fühlst du dich? Also, was sind die Emotionen?
Doch, ich fühle mich ziemlich gut. Ich hätte jedoch gerne den Simon besiegen können. Doch, es wäre schön gewesen.
Das kann ich mir natürlich vorstellen. Aber nach diesem Tag jetzt heute, was sind so deine Pläne? Also, wenn du in Zukunft quasi deine Timbersports-Karriere, wie schaut die aus?
Sicher mal bei den Pros etwas Unruhe stiften. Das wäre schon cool.
Finde ich sehr cool. Ich drücke dir die Daumen. Dankeschön. So I asked first how he's feeling, because he's second now. And he said he feels amazing, but he could have done better. He would have loved to beat Simon. But anyway, I also asked for the future, like his timber sports career, and he said he wants to mix up the pros and beat them a little up, right? Yeah. And we'll see us soon, hopefully, in the next heat. And now back to Munich, to you guys.
Wants to mix it up with the pros and cause some problems.
Kiss my ex, you know.
Kiss my ex. Exactly. That's the perfect hashtag for the way that Oliver came out there. And you know what? I'm telling you, that kid is going to come up and he is going to cause some drama with the pros. Absolutely.
Well, I wish him best of luck, especially for the single buck that's coming up right now.
Single buck. The single buck is a one-man saw about 2 meters long. With this, the athletes have to cut off a complete disc from a 40-centimeter thick wooden block. The perfect interplay between rhythm and strength is the key to success. The 2-meter-long cross-cut saw used for the single buck discipline is made especially for competition. A series of consistently patterned 10-centimeter-long teeth are cut with a laser on one side of the saw and then hand-sharpened. Saw teeth are divided into 2 types, cutters and rakers, just like on the old-school saws. The saw weighs about 5 kilos and its base price starts at around €1,500.
Starting order Heat 1, that will be Adam Björns take on Quinten Verhaert. In Heat 2, Sebastian Bateau against Mike Bröckmann. In Heat 3, Edvin Carlson will take on Robin Konicek. In Heat 4, we'll see Nikolai Grönwald and Danny Filbert. In Heat 5, it will be Lukas Wagesreiter taking on Simon Grönwald. Heat 6, Loic Vincent against Michael Perrin. In Heat 7, Oliver Reinhardt take on Robin Haas, the Swiss duel. And finally, in Heat 8, Marseille Steinkemper against Alessandro Giappioni. Take it away, Troy Mannering. Let's do this.
Get the single buck misery whips ready for the pain and gain. It's a big saw. It's old school. It is taking it back to the origins of cutting down trees and splitting them and everything. Look at that beast right there. There's a reason why they call this the misery whip or the pain whip. It is a bear. To get it started and to keep it going, you need to have flow and power, but the angle has to be just right as well. If you hook up and that saw stops, restarting it is a nightmare and kills your time and your energy. You're going to see a lot of different styles in this particular discipline as well. You're going to have guys that will start off with choppy, quick cuts, and then they'll graduate into long, flowing strokes. There'll be other guys that just want to try and push that thing through as quickly as possible with those short, sloppy cuts. And both of these gentlemen, Verheert, I would say he's a little bit more of that choppy kind of cutter, and Björns is trying for those long strokes, and it seems to have worked out for him as he's got himself a personal best with a time of 24:52, and Verheert has a personal best as well with a time of 27:19. So again, love to see those personal bests fall. That's always good, no matter what you think the time is good or bad. But those personal bests mean that these guys are improving with each stroke of the saw. And that is a critical thing here, is just keeping that saw stroking and moving.
Okay, both cuts are good.
All right, so it's official. Both of those personal bests will stand. Adjusted times 24:32 and 26:93. As our stage crew will get that stage ready, and we take a look at the slow-mo. Now, off the top here, I mentioned different styles, and you'll see the Swedish style tends to be a little bit more long strokes. In this case, he didn't really get that saw completely into the log and use the whole thing, but there you could see from Quinten Verheert, he was a bit shorter with each of those cuts, just using the middle section of the saw. And there you see also a bit of a stick, and getting that saw restarted, you could tell that that struggle made all the difference in how much time it took him to get to the bottom of that cookie. And he did get it back going and still had a very solid time. As we move on to our next heat here in the single buck, Sebastian Bateau against Mike Broekman. So again, keep an eye on the styles of these two guys and see if you can spot the differences. Is one of them pulling the saw right through the entire block, or are their cuts choppy and short? Both work. Both can be functional, but one is sometimes a little bit more efficient than the other. And obviously, if you can keep that saw moving and use the entire length of the saw, then you're getting a more efficient and quicker cut.
Edvin, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
There we see Sebastian Bateau, and now he's doing a good... Oh, no! Sebastian Bateau got hooked up just when I was going to give him a little bit of a compliment on getting that saw started and using the entire length of the saw. Meanwhile, Mike Broekman has got those short, choppy cuts going. He's got to be careful here, though, as he gets to the bottom, though, that he doesn't twist that saw and break the cookie off. And that's a critical thing there, but Sebastian Bateau got back into the flow, managed to use the whole length of the saw, and had a nice time of 21:29. Mike Broekman off the pace a little bit there with a 27:44, but still, both of these guys nailing personal best so far. All four athletes that have competed in the first two heats, personal best, Marcus.
Wow, that's impressive. That's all I can say to this. And again, the time's absolutely amazing, under 30 seconds. I'm always a bit pessimistic, you know, when I think it's all down to this pressure and it's the rookies. And, you know, they're great in practice, but it's a big difference between being good in practice and being good in competition. And all 16 athletes so far have been very impressive. And I mean, look at those times. You just said it.
Yep.
4 personal bests and 4 times under 30 seconds. So all I can say is, wow.
Yeah, to quote a colleague of mine, look at the time! You know Rob Warner, I'm sure. One of the big characters from the mountain bike world. But I mean, it's really accurate to scream that in some of these cases because, you know, talking about how quickly they can get through this 27-centimeter block, it's just incredible. And actually, I think this is the 32-centimeter block, isn't it? Whatever. It's a big chunk of wood that they've got to cut through. And here you saw those 2 different styles that I talked about earlier, with Quinten Verheert going for those choppy, short, and quick strokes through the middle of the saw, and Adam Björns using as much of the saw as he possibly could to try, or excuse me, Sebastian Bateau using as much of the saw as he possibly could to really get a nice long stroke and a cut. And I just did it again. It was Mike Broekman that was using those choppy cuts. Okay, let's see if we can get Heat 3 right, Troy. All right, Edvin Carlson going up against Robin Konecek. So Sweden against Austria. Now you see what he's doing right there. Edvin Carlson has the saw upside down and he's placed it in that section that they've already approved as being pre-cut and to set the saw up. And what he's done there is he has just stroked the saw through a couple of times to give him that feeling of his foot positioning and to make sure that he has the flow on the angle of the saw that he needs. So here we go. Different stances as well. You could see between these two.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Konecek starting with a shorter stance, Carlson with the longer stance. And again, talking about that Swedish style, trying to utilize the entire length of the saw. Konecek also going through the middle, doing pretty well here, all things considered, as Konecek looks like he might be so close behind Carlson. I had to flow that one in there because they were really quick, and a couple more personal bests go by the wayside, as we saw last weekend in this very discipline. Personal bests all around the neighborhood. It is crazy the improvements these guys are making. Love it. Edvin Carlson with the time to beat so far with a 14:24 and a personal best. Robin Konecek right behind him, only 0.45 of a second back with a 14:69. And yeah, again, 2 weekends in a row. Absolutely impressive performances by all of these guys. Personal best dropping like flies in a dirty can of soup. It's crazy.
Just imagine being in the next heat, and you know, if I don't do a personal best, I
might as well leave. I'm out. I'm finished.
That's
I'm done
it,
for the day. Thanks. Bye. Mom, can you get me a glass of milk and some chocolate chip cookies? I'm coming home early.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, look how close this was, though. 1/2 of a stroke.
But especially
that is the
in
difference
this discipline, why is there so much improvement in that discipline? It's one of the most difficult disciplines.
It is one of the most difficult disciplines, not because of the weight of the saw or any of that. It's because small angles can make a huge difference. It's about the technique. And obviously, these guys have seen some of the pros and how the times are working with them and really focusing on probably video material to try and improve themselves.
Rookie Academy maybe also?
Rookie Academy plays a huge role. That was a big thing this year, which I think was absolutely fantastic. An option, an opportunity for these rookies to learn from some legends in the sport on how to improve at each of the aspects. And again, there's that saw upside down by both of these athletes, just checking their stroke positioning, foot positioning, and everything to make sure they're really feeling good about this one. Nikolai Grunwald up against
Danny Fiebert.
Danny Fiebert, yeah, genau, heat number 4.
Oh, wow.
Ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Nikolai Grunwald on the left-hand side, Danny Fiebert on the right-hand side. You can see Grunwald, he's got some good flow though, but he got a little bit of a hookup as he comes down towards the bottom, and it's going to be a nice personal best for him as well. 14:73.
What else?
And a personal best for Fiebert as well. Unbelievable. Wow. That is bananas. I love it. I love it. So both Germany and Poland dropping some discs and dropping some personal bests.
Okay, both cuts are good.
Oh, there's the fist.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yes. Nikolai Grunwald moves up into second place in single buck, and Danny Fiebert moves up into 4th place in a single buck. That's going to shift the overall standings around a little bit. We'll take a look at that afterwards, but you can see here again, these guys are attacking these cuts. They're just attacking them. And there you see Grunwald, his strokes were a little bit longer than Fiebert, and Fiebert did get hooked up a couple of times there. What we should mention also is that this discipline has 2 possibilities. There is with assistance and without assistance. With assistance has a wedger and a luber, or one person does wedging and lubing, and without assistance is what you're seeing here today. So there is a bigger chance for that block to bind on the saw, making it more difficult for these guys. So their times are even more impressive because of that.
And only personal best so far, as we're halfway through. Here we have the results so far from 8 athletes, 16 altogether, and all 8 athletes that have been competing so far have reached the personal best. And to one of them, Nikolaj Grönwald, will be talking in just a second, because I think that Pia has him in Kesselhaus. Here we have it. Grönwald's on the overall standings, leading at the moment, and I'm very sure he's happy about that. Hopefully, Pia can tell us we're right and we're not mistaken. That was very, very impressive so far.
7 points ahead.
So let's move back to Pia.
No, you're not mistaken. I'm having Nikolaj Grönwald next to me with a personal best. Congratulations, that was amazing. What are you thinking while you complete the discipline?
Thank you. I think it's a very good start with myself, and I have best time with myself, and I had in my head, I must fast, and I have. Nice.
You've done great. And now one more discipline is to come. What are you expecting? What are you thinking is this gonna be like?
I think underhand very strong and most. So I think I must best. Let's go.
The motivation is there. I wish you luck. All the best. And yeah, thank you for the interview. Thank you for your time. We'll hand it back to you, Troy and Marcus.
All right, Lukas Wagersreiter and Simon Grönwald, another Grönwald in the mix. Maybe he's going to have a personal best as well. Who knows?
Well, what else?
What else? Let's not jinx these guys, though. I mean, really, come on. But the wood seems to be really, really, really... I don't know what to say about the wood today. I think it's absolutely fixed up.
I'm a bit worried if Nikolaj says the last discipline, the underhand chop, is the one he's looking forward to. Yeah. Oh, my word. He's on fire.
Well, it's interesting. We mix things up a little bit, because normally we're doing the underhand chop first in the discipline row, and this time around...
But it's very cool to have it the other way around.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've kind of mixed the guys up a little bit, too, so they've probably got that going through their heads as well.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So, Lukas Wagersreiter on the left-hand side of your screen, Simon Grönwald on the right-hand side of your screen. And there you can see Lukas Wagersreiter. Oh, a big hookup for him, but he was using the entire length of the saw. 2 big hookups for Lukas Wagersreiter. That is a major problem. And that means that Simon Grönwald is going to get through with a time of 12:51. Oh my goodness, I do believe we have a new world record. This is still unofficial. This is absolutely unofficial until we get the thumbs up from our judge, though. But at 12:28, when it's adjusted, let's see.
Okay, let's see what our judges have to say.
Your cut was good, and your cut was very good. New world record.
Your cut was very good. That's a world record. So we have 10 personal bests and a world record in this discipline. And
I have to point out, Lukas Wagersreiter got his saw stuck at the worst possible time, not once, but twice, and still cut a personal best of 16:82. And Simon Grönwald, you know what he's going to do? He's going to go back and shake his finger in his brother's face and say, na, I got a world record. No, I don't think he's going to do that. But seriously,
16 years old.
Unbelievable. 12.28 seconds, a world record for the juniors. And there's those 2 hookups I was talking about by Wagersreiter. Unfortunate. Otherwise, he may have been right there in that world record standing as well. Who knows?
Do we have an age limit, an age that you have to reach before you're allowed to compete with the pros? I mean, this guy is... I have no idea.
I have no idea. I mean, I think you would need to be a minimum of 18, and if that's the case, there's going to be
to wait 2 years for that guy?
Do you want to have to deal with the guy for 2 years as a rookie? No. That's the question.
Lift it up to 21.
I mean, unbelievable. What a great job by Simon Grönwald, who has now taken over the top spot in the rankings with 44 points. Nikolaj Grönwald right behind him with 37 points. So Poland is dominating at the moment. All right, Loïc Voisin going up against Michel Perrin. It's France against Italy. So serious looking, these guys. So serious. There's Loïc Voisin. Loïc Françon, personal best is 14:14. Michel Perrin, personal best 14:50. So these guys are real close to each other. And the way the wood's been running today, who knows what's going to happen? We might even see a new world record between these two guys. It's anybody's guess at this point.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, no debate about the start there. That looked really even. And Loïc Françon attacking that like he's got a motor, and he's using the entire length of the saw. He is ripping through this block. Is he going to do it? And Michel Perrin with a 13:14, and Françon, I thought he was going to be much faster than that, with a 14:85. Holy smokes. Loïc Françon, unbelievably, is the only guy so far who doesn't have a personal best. Oh, I don't even know where to go with this.
And he was still in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, he was motoring.
Okay, both cuts are good.
Oh my word. Every single athlete so far under 30 seconds. That is... I just don't know what to say.
Under 30 seconds. Almost everybody's under 25, 26. I mean, 27, 21 is the slowest time we've had so far. And like I said, cutting a loaf of bread takes me longer than that.
And it's a kind of magical barrier to say, okay, if you're under 30 seconds, mate, you're a fantastic athlete. You know, you know how to work the single buck. But I mean, just watching these slow motions, it's no surprise.
Yeah, and there's interestingly enough, though, you saw both of them with really fast strokes. There was the big hookup for Loïc Françon. That was the problem right there for his personal best not happening. But both of them using really fast strokes. The difference was that Loïc Françon, you actually saw the tip of the saw disappear into that block on the backstroke right there. Bang, it's gone. Yeah, and then he was really utilizing the entire length of the saw and the speed on top of it. The only difference was that he got hooked up pretty badly near the bottom of his cut, and the wood bound on his saw, and he had to restart. Okay, next heat up, Oliver Reinhardt and Robin Haas, the Swiss duo in heat number 7.
And their personal bests are not too bad at all.
Not at all. 13:99 personal best for Robin Haas, so this is definitely the stronger discipline between these two guys. But Oliver Reinhardt has been so solid this year. He's focused. He is really on point. And, I mean, his winning streak in the last 2 to 3 years is proof in the pudding right there. And Robin Haas is going to face Oliver Reinhardt head-to-head. Here we go.
To your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So you can see Robin Haas starting off with quick, choppy strokes, and then Oliver Reinhardt gets into using the entire length of the saw. Robin Haas doing the same. It's going to be a close one between these two, but it's going to be Robin Haas. Oh, and he just got that little knuckle off the bottom as well with a lucky final stroke. Otherwise, it could be a DQ for Robin Haas having an incomplete cookie. The judges will look close at that one, and you can see there's a little bit of worry on Robin Haas's face. All right, I don't see a flag on the play. That's good news.
Okay, both cuts are good.
All right, no suspension here with the craziness, and again a couple of personal bests, again dropping down. So Oliver Reinhardt moves up into second place with that time of 12:40. Robin Haas with a 12:94, and it was just by virtue of that last little knuckle on the bottom of his cut. I don't know if we'll get to see that in the slow-mo, but right here you could see the cookie drop, and then the saw actually hung on that last little bit that was hanging there on the bottom of the cut. Let's see if we could see it here. And there it is. And he needs to get that done. See, and that was an important final cut. And that was a really key aspect right there from Robin Haas. He saw it, he recognized it, he cut it off. Had he not done that and walked away from it, that would have been a DQ for an incomplete cookie. So a very good job for that man to recognize where he was with that. And he sits now in fourth place in the single buck with one heat still to go.
So only one more heat missing, and that, of course, is Marseille Steinkemper against Alessandro Chiapponi. I always try and read that name because I just love it.
Yeah.
What about the personal bests?
They're not.
16 seconds.
I mean, you know, 12:28 is the fastest at the moment. They're a little bit outside of middle of the pack here in their personal best, but that's not saying anything at this point because everybody else were outside of their personal best at the start of this competition. So the way things are going, personal bests for these two guys could well be gone as well, hopefully.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Chiapponi, another opportunity here to improve, but right off the hop, he got that saw stuck. Marcel Steinkampa, on the other hand, got it moving really quickly, and he's kept going. Very good flow for Marcel Steinkampa. Chiapponi struggling to try and catch up. Oh! Steinkemper with a fantastic personal best, 13:22, and he just obliterated his old personal best by 3 seconds and change. Wow. So Chiapponi's time, looking for it here. Hasn't come across to my screen. Yeah, there it is, 18:60. So no personal best for him either.
Good.
But Marcel Steinkemper with a great 12:97 by adjustment. Another personal best hits the floor with the cookie, and a good job all around. So 18:60 for Alessandro Chiapponi, who is sitting in 12th, and Marcel Steinkemper in a really solid 5th place there as we take a look back at the slow-mo. And it was the start was great for Steinkemper. There's just no two ways about it. He's really been practicing that discipline, and he is right on top of his game there, but obviously looks disappointed with the way that cut went. Unbelievably so. Meanwhile, Chiapponi on the right-hand side, you can see choppy cuts, a couple of stops, a couple of hookups. The one thing that I've noticed about all of these guys so far, not a single guy has had the violin bow happen to them. So that's a good thing, because when the violin bow happens, boy, that's a tough one, because that thing kicks back on you and you have to restart the saw.
So let's take a look at the overall standings. No surprise with Grönwald being there with 44 points. The 16-year-old really showing us what he's capable of doing. Wow. Oliver Reinhardt from Switzerland in 2nd, and Michael Perrin from Italy is there in 3rd position. But of course, both athletes count. So that means for the Nations Cup, we're going to have to add all the points before the pros are going to be here, and I think we can take a look at the Nations Cup now.
Wow, yeah, Poland is up there on top still, but look, not that far ahead of Switzerland anymore.
Absolutely. And we just saw Marcel Steinkemper not being too happy with his time, even though it was a absolutely amazing personal best. And hopefully Pia will find out for us why Marcel was shaking his head. So Pia and Marcel, how are you guys doing in Kesselhaus?
We are doing great, thank you. As you just mentioned, Marcel Steinkemper, right next to me, you were shaking your head when you saw your time, even though it's a personal best. Why?
Yeah, I had some hiccups and broke the saw a little bit. That cost some seconds, but all in all, it was a good cut.
It was amazing. Well, do you have some kind of ritual when you're right before you go on stage? Like something you do every time to just have luck?
Yeah, it's more before going on stage, and like putting on first the right chainmail and the shoes and stuff, and yeah, so you get in a rhythm before the competition, and then you are less nervous.
And do you do it always in the same order, like always one thing after the other, or can you mix it up?
No, I don't mix it up. I do it all in the same order, and that's the key, maybe.
I got that. I get that. So thank you for your time, and thanks for the interview. And we'll hand back to Munich now.
Nice. Absolutely. Superstition rules the day.
Yeah, sometimes put on my left sock before my right sock, but that's about it, you know.
Yeah.
I always keep that order going.
I try and jump into my pants.
I don't want to.
When I wear pants. Not very often, though.
We'll talk about that later. Now we're ready for the underhand chop, our last discipline.
Underhand Chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes use an axe to cut through a 30-centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides. The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand-sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It's custom-built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos, and it's about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you could shave with it.
Start list for the underhand chop. In Heat 1, Adam Björns against Quinten Verhaert. In Heat 2, Mike Bröckmann against Sebastian Bateau. In Heat 3, the Austrians, Robin Konicek and Lukas de Wagesreiter. In Heat 4, Edvin Carlson and Danny Filbert. Heat 5, Robin Haas and Michael Perrin. Loic Vincent and Alessandro Chiappioni in Heat 6. In Heat 7, Nikolai Grönwald and Oliver Reinhardt. And finally, in Heat 8, Marseille Steinkemper and Simon Grönwald.
All right, the underhand chop is traditionally the discipline that we start with, so we're getting into it right away with our first heat, Adam Björns and Quinten Verhaert.
Ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Ooh, step off by Björns. That's going to cost him a little bit in time. You also want to make sure that you stay on top of that block as solidly as possible, and you want to use as much of that gravity on your swing as possible. Now Björns and Verhaert, both of them moving over to the other side of their block almost at the same time here, and they're both really struggling to try and get through it as cleanly as possible, just passing the 30-second mark here. Fastest in the world doing this in I think 25 seconds is the world record, something ridiculously quick. And it's going to be Björns with a personal best getting through in 43.06. And again, as I've said all show long, that's unofficial until our judges give us the go-ahead. And Verhaert with a personal best of 51.90. So again, the personal best going down, which was what we love to see, absolutely. And this is also a tough discipline, especially after you've gone through all of the other disciplines up to this point.
Are good.
So fist bumps as they leave the stage, and our crew will come on to the stage to clean up and reset the stands as quickly as possible as we take a look at the slow-mo action here. Athletes are allowed to bring 2 axes onto the stage, so if something does happen with one axe mid-competition, they can go to their other axe, but that seldom happens because that is just a time killer. And you can see here how accurate those cuts are. And in this particular discipline, those cuts need to be very accurate because those 2 footholds where the guys are standing, if they cut into those footholds, the investigation will happen, a flag will drop, and there will be a DQ. So you're not actually allowed to cut into the marked foothold. So it's really important that your accuracy is on point with the underhand chop. As well, you kind of don't want to hammer your foot either. These guys do have protective socks and or shoes on, but nevertheless, you know, hammering your foot with that axe is going to break a toe if it's not going to cut something off. So again, all important to have the safety aspects in mind with every single discipline in steel timber sports. All right, heat number 2 here with Mike Bröckmann against Sebastian Bateau. Wow, their personal bests are really right on with each other. And I just saw that the world record there was well under 25, 14 and change. So that's pretty fast, wouldn't you say, Marcus?
Oh, yes, indeed.
Yeah? Are we sure that world record wasn't for like a motor saw discipline on this or something like that? That's just nuts. I mean, if you think about it, guys don't cut through with the stock saw that fast.
You're actually right.
Athletes, ready.
stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Mike Broekman on the right-hand side of the screen now in the very bright shirt. Sebastian Bateau on the left in the blue. Both these guys slabbing out really nicely. What I'm noticing about Sebastian Bateau is his accuracy is so on point, looking very good. I didn't really get a close look at Broekman's block there, but as they cut through the front side now after they switched over, it's also looking really nice on Broekman as well. Both of these guys having really, really nice accurate shots. And look at that, it's almost like they synced up their axes getting stuck at the same time. And it's going to be Broekman through in 35-39, a personal best. And oh, a massive stick for Bateau 2 times now. That's killing his time absolutely as he gets 3 big sticks and finally gets through in 50.07. He'll be disappointed by that because those huge axe sticks, I think he was trying to, you know, hit one into the far left field with those last couple of hits, and he got that axe head stuck in the block with just a little bit too much power.
All right, both cuts are good.
But I reckon that's something you probably have to learn as a rookie. Not always using your full amounts of power, but pacing the power in a way.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what the rookie competitions are all about, is just to learn what works best for you. And you also, over time, you tend to get a good feeling for the wood. I mean, you talk to any of the pros and they know after the first hit or two what the wood is like and how much power they can actually throw into that log to really get the most efficient cuts out of it. I mean, that's just time and experience.
Yeah, that's high-level sports. Just thinking of tennis, for instance, is very similar. You know, as a youngster, they think they just have to hit every ball as hard as they can.
Yeah.
Nope, it's not always the best idea.
Yeah, you need top spin? Do you need bottom spin? You want to try and hook it? There's all sorts of things going on. It's the same. It's exactly the same in timber sports as well. The angle of the axe plays a role, and these guys know exactly, you know, if they have to angle it a little bit more or a little bit less to get a bigger slab out or something like that. And you know, the accuracy of their hits is playing a big role too. So, I mean, these are all things that are going to come over time, but that's what we've been talking about all day long with these rookies and their improvements along the way. It's just fantastic, the crop of young talent that's coming up through the scene. All right, Robin Konacek going up against Lukas Wagesreiter. This is that all-Austrian final, or not final, but this is that all-Austrian battle that we saw earlier on as well.
It's going to feel like a final for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I believe they went up against each other in the standing block chop as well. So these two guys getting into the chopping disciplines against each other, and they'll be familiar with each other's style. They'll be familiar with each other's, way of doing things.
Ready.
So let's see how that pans out for these two here against each other.
3, 2, 1. Go!
Wagesreiter on the right-hand side, and well, now the left-hand side from the overhead view there, and Konacek on the right. And both of these guys, really nice initial cuts on the first side, and pretty soon we'll see both of them move over. Yep, there's Wagesreiter and Konacek. Konacek steps down, not once but twice, I believe, but he's got to stay up on top of that block to keep hitting. You cannot swing the axe with a foot on the ground. It needs to be in the footholds. Konacek, Wagesreiter, and it's going to be Wagesreiter with a personal best and an absolute scream of satisfaction, 28.97. What a great job by him. Konacek still trying to get through on his second side. He's done it with a 40.18. One final blow just to be sure, but I do believe they stopped the clock at 40.18. There'll be an adjusted time from competition control, and they'll check the blocks to make sure everything is copacetic.
Okay, both cuts are good.
Wow.
Wagesreiter's super stoked.
Oh, yeah. Well, his personal best before was 33.34 from the Rookie Championships 2021. So that is an improvement that is
1 week old.
Unreal, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Good job by him. So we've had 4 personal bests so far in Underhand Chop, and Lukas Wagesreiter now has the top spot in the Underhand Chop so far. So very good job by him. And you can see here, he was just really working that block, a quick turnaround, and about 1 stroke behind was Konacek, but he stepped down. And I thought he stepped down twice, but it only looked like there from that angle that he stepped down once, but it was important that he get back up on that block before taking another swing and impacting the block. But what a great job by Lukas Wagesreiter, 28.50 4:56, a personal best. And how stoked is he right there?
I don't wonder where the pros are sitting right now watching this.
They'll be in the backstage enjoying every moment of this and
adding up the points.
But I guarantee you, throughout this whole process, the pros were back there and the rookies would come back and the pros would say, okay, the following things need to improve. You did great here. So for sure, they're providing advice and everything in the back. And this is one of those things with this particular setup on this day is that the pros are there in the mix during the competition to be able to assist the rookies in taking the next steps. And this is maybe one of the reasons why we're seeing so many of these records fall today, because the pros are providing advice. Next heat, Edvin Carlson, Danny Filiat.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Edvin Carlson from Sweden, Danny Filiat from Germany. Sweden on the left, Germany on the right. Boy, these guys are in sync, switching over to the other side exactly at the same time. Now they're targeting, or their hits are just a little bit out of sync, but their first side was basically rhythm is a dancer. And it's Carlson, 23.93, and Filiat with a 26.29. Again, 2 personal bests for these guys. Great job. Can't even begin to tell you how happy I am to see all these personal bests going out the window. It's just fantastic. All right, a lot of discussion going on here with the block of Filiat. It could be a cut into the foothold. We'll see if a flag does go down. They're discussing it with him right now. They have to do it officially, and they will check everything with a fine-tooth comb here. So it is clear that they're taking a long time to look and see if there is a cut into that foothold. So they're going to make a decision here and let us know what that decision is.
Oh dear.
Okay, your cut was good. You have a DQ cut foothold.
That is unlucky.
That is unlucky, absolutely. But I talked about this right off the top. That is one of the things that is a risk in the underhand chop, especially with the rookies having so much, let's call it vim and vigor and vinegar in their mix, that sometimes you just get a little bit overexcited. You cut into that foothold, and then you got a DQ. And that is a bummer, because he did have a personal best time-wise.
Fantastic time, yeah.
Yeah, it was a fantastic time, but Danny Filiat unfortunately gets the DQ for cutting into the foothold.
Just by a fraction, because they had to look at it very closely.
They had to look at it really closely.
So, what are we talking about? Half a centimeter?
I would say even less. Yeah. I'd say we're talking like literally millimeters. Yeah, but that's how closely these judges and their judging system is capable of checking. I mean, they've got high-speed cameras all around that stage. They're checking for, you know, a false start or too early start. They're checking for, you know, all sorts of different things, and they can really look back at everything.
Many times that the technology that is used in STIHL Timbersports is up on the highest level. So we can really go down to thousands of seconds just to be precise.
I'm not going to say it puts Swiss timing to shame, but it's pretty darn close. I mean, it is really about the most technologically advanced system for checks and balances that there could be in any sport. And they absolutely need it, because there's so much going on stage at any given time in STIHL Timbersports that you have to be on top of absolutely every aspect. All right, so taking a look at the overall standings here, it's still Simon Grunwald on top with 44 points, and he hasn't even gone yet in this discipline. Yeah. He's coming up, so that bodes well for him and for Poland. All right, next heat, Robin Haas, Michel Perrin.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, good start for both of these guys. Michel Perrin, tall, can really utilize that to his advantage, but also has to be careful that he doesn't overpower those blows and get that axe stuck. Michel Perrin, though, is the first guy to move over to the other side, 3 strokes ahead of Robin Haas, who is now fighting from behind and looking like he's struggling to find those slabs that he wants to come out of the block. Michel Perrin now with a little bit of an advantage, and he drops it at 27.05, and it's Robin Haas at 29.99. Special on aisle 4, blocks of wood from Robin Haas for $29.99. There you go. Robin Haas with a $29.99. I'll say it about 48 more times before the end of the day, or until they actually update his time, which they just did with a $29.79, and he is in 4th place in the underhand chop.
Both cuts are
Michel Perrin, and both cuts being good. Michel Perrin is in 2nd place with a $26.66, and I won't even go there with that number. Great start by these guys, though. Just before the gun, the upswing, and then absolutely getting into that block. So nice. You could see Robin Haas on the right-hand side there, some big slabs coming out. He actually had some nicer slabs to start things out, and it was Michel Perrin that looked like he might be starting to struggle, but he was actually over 3 strokes ahead of Robin Haas onto the other side, and then he just kept going with that quick axe head, really using the pressure from his legs and his height to his advantage there. And Michel Perrin comes through with a nice time, good enough for 2nd place in the underhand chop. You can see how technically adept these guys are too. Bringing the hand right up to the axe head, repositioning their hands back together for the downswing there, and just fantastic job by Michel Perrin from Italy, and a great job to sit in 2nd place in the underhand chop standings. All right, Loic Voisson up against Alessandro Ciapponi. Ciapponi struggled in the single buck. He did a great job in the standing block chop. His disciplines are definitely axe related with chopping, so now he has to really throw down here against Loic.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Ciapponi going to try and work hard here, and look at how quick his axe is. Boy, Ciapponi not holding back. He is already onto the other side, took a quick step off of the block, and he's a good 4 or 5 strokes ahead of Voisson on the other side of his block. Ciapponi absolutely murdering this block, and he does it in a fantastic time of 18:36, a personal best for Ciapponi. A great job by him. Loic Voisson trying to get through that last little couple of hits at 27.81. Wow, Ciapponi, you stud muffin on the block. That is just fantastic.
And that is 5.6 seconds faster than Edvin Carlson.
Yeah. Now,
wow.
where were those cuts earlier on? So we know that Ciapponi is solid with an axe in the hand. We know where he has to improve, and now he knows it too.
All right, both cuts are good.
So you think, though, Ciapponi, it was good that Underhand Chop came last this time? Or do you think it would have been nicer to have a start like this, you know, just to be self-confident to go into the next disciplines?
Tough call, because your headspace, when you've got a good run to start, is obviously better, and you feel better about the next disciplines. But it's a nice way for Ciapponi to finish off, because it's going to be a tough time to beat for any of these other guys with 18.06. And, you know, we take a look back at the slow-mos. Ciapponi was just, unfortunately, we don't see if that's Ciapponi there or not. I do believe it is, but he's so quick with the axe. It's just, you know, bang, 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 bang. And he was over to the other side, well ahead of Voisson. So
is that slow motion? No, it is not. This looks like real time in slow motion.
Unbelievable, though. Hey, he's so quick with that axe. So we know, like I said, Ciapponi, with the axe in hand, he is relentlessly good. So where he needs to improve probably more than anywhere else is his single buck. His single buck was disastrous, and that's the one area where if he can improve that, his game is going to go through the roof. Stock saw is okay. That's something that he's going to get to feel out over time. But the one area where, in this particular competition, from my perspective, it's the single buck.
Yeah, and of course, if you want to move on to the pros, that has to work.
That has to work. You got to have that single buck locked and loaded. Okay, Nikolai Grunwald and Oliver Reinhardt going up against each other here. So we're going to have 2 more heats to go. This one and the last one, and Simon Grunwald will be in the last one. Here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Nikolai Grunwald on the left-hand side of your screen, Oliver Reinhardt on the right-hand side of your screen, and Reinhardt also using that quick axe head style, and he should be the first over to the other side. Nikolai Grunwald, yeah, 1 stroke behind Reinhardt as he now moves over to the other side too. Grunwald, Reinhardt. Oh, and Reinhardt does it in 22:97. A great time, not the fastest one on the day. And it's Grunwald in 28:65. So Reinhardt with a 22:97 slips into second place in the underhand chop standings, and Grunwald Nikolai with a 28:41 is in 6th in the underhand chop standings. No investigations on the stand. That's always a good sign.
Okay, both cuts are good.
That's one of my favorite sentences to hear.
Both cuts are good?
Both cuts are good, yeah. So only 1 more heat's coming up. So Marseille Steinkemper and Simon Grunwald finishing the competition for the rookies, and we're not going to have a winner's ceremony today.
No, because everything's going to be counted with the pros later on. So if you want to see how their results are from the rookies, you got to come back later for the pros.
Oh yeah, and it's going to be definitely worth it. Just look at these guys go.
Yeah, Oliver Reinhardt there in the picture on the left-hand side of your screen. I mean, he also utilizes that quick axe. Now, it's something to be said. Yeah, you can swing that axe fast, but swinging it fast with power and accuracy, that's another animal altogether. And I mean, these guys are slowly, I should say slowly, but they're very slowly seeing, yeah, I can do that. And then it's small details, and the devil is in the details, as they say, and that's what Oliver Reinhardt has been working on over his rookie career for the last couple of years, and it's shown in his results. I mean, if you look at his results list, he's got 1s and 2s all over the map.
And that is a final heat. Yes.
Yes. Marcel Steinkampa up against Simon Grunwald. I don't even know what to say about this kid, Simon. I mean, unbelievable. 16 years young. Marcel Steinkampa, he is a solid cutter when it comes to the axe. So you cannot bet him out of this one. But, I mean, Simon Grunwald, oh my goodness. I mean, his personal best here, 1685. Oh, I can't even understand where this kid gets his power. The skill level is unbelievable. Okay, here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, their timing is right on. It took Simon Grunwald 2 or 3 strokes before he got that rhythm. And holy smokes, folks, he's already on the other side of that block. He might be under in a very fast time today. He gets another stick there. Oh, and he thought about it a little bit too much, but he got through in 18:06. No personal best for him. Steinkemper steps off, and he gets a 24:03. So 2 really solid times there by both of these guys, but Simon Grunwald with the... Oh, wow. Okay, there's been no adjustment on the time so far, but if I look at my screen, Simon Grunwald and Alessandro Chiapponi have exactly the same time, but now they've made the adjustment, and Simon Grunwald's time has gone to a 17:74, so he is just 32 hundredths of a second faster than Chiapponi.
Okay, both cuts are good.
Unbelievable performance by this young man.
Fantastic. And Steinkemper sitting in 5th place in the underhand chop standings. So we'll take a look at the results from the underhand chop and the overall results shortly after we look at the slow-mos here. What an impressive young man that Grunwald, Simon Grunwald is, though. Both of the Grunwald boys are just absolutely fantastic. But Simon Grunwald, at 16 years of age, he has got a future in timber sports that's unlike anything we've seen in a long time. I can see there's going to be records falling left, right, and center with that young man on the handle of an axe or a saw. There were a couple of strokes there, a couple of drives where he thought he had that block through and just sort of hesitated a little bit, but then he needed to go back and take a couple of more hits. Otherwise, his time might have been even quicker. Still, I don't know. 17:74 is definitely quite okay. I'll take it to the bank.
So that's the final results for the moment. Of course, like we already mentioned, the big showdown is going to be at 7 p.m. together with the pros. But let's take a look at just a rookie competition. And it's Simon Grönwald that has absolutely dominated.
60 points ahead of, 7 points ahead of Oliver Reinhardt in second place. But Oliver Reinhardt from Switzerland, I mean, what a solid competitor he is.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He is probably, along with Grönwald, one of the most well-rounded timber sports athletes there is in the rookie field.
And I really have to say all 16 athletes were more than just impressive.
Yep.
And I just love the idea where we have the Rookies Academy. We have this new format, like you mentioned, with the pros being there for the youngsters. And we have the Nations Cup with Poland being up front, 17.5 points. Switzerland on position 2, 14.5. And Italy in third position with 11.5 points that they take along before the pros start into their competition. And of course, we want to have one more interview from the Kessel House. And Michael Perrin is with Pia at the moment, as far as I have been told. And I can see Pia smiling in the background. Let's hear it from you guys in Kessel House.
Yes, you've been right. I'm here with Michel Perrin, and we're here for the last interview. Michel, you've done really great throughout the whole competition. What is your thought now? What are you thinking in hindsight?
I think I do my best. I think I can do a little bit better, but when you go on the stage, it's always a bit nervous, and what he's doing to the stage is like that.
And do you have hopes for tonight? Because tonight's like the great end with all the pros. Do you think Italy can win?
I think Italy can make a great competition with the two guys that come after. They are really strong, and I hope we can get on the podium. Yes.
I hope so too. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. And I say thank you for staying with us until now. We'll see each other at 7 o'clock because there the competition will continue with the pros. I'm already very keen, and I promise you I'll provide you with some hindsight info and with some opinions of the athletes. Again, well, amazing trophies will there be too. So get a rest, get a break, and come back at 7 p.m. Now, one last time, back to the studio to you, Troy and Marcus.
Oh, yeah, we are ready for the final countdown. Pia's already said it at 7 p.m. That's going to be the big showdown with the pros competing. But of course, they are depending on the points they got from the rookies. So that makes it even more interesting.
Tough job for the rookies to start this thing off, but Poland's done a great job so far. It's not over yet. The pros are still in the mix, so we've got a lot more action to come at 7 p.m., so make sure you come back and join us then, because that's when we're going to see the real pressure come under for these pros. And I mean, they watched the rookies do their thing, and now we're going to watch them do their thing and see if we can do it.
So it's time for the highlights of the day before we hopefully see you all again at 7 o'clock. Till then, bye-bye, ciao und baba. We'll be back.